Emily, stop. Her uncle's voice cut through the music behind her. I am not marrying him, Emily shouted, lifting the hem of her white dress as she ran across the marble steps. You will ruin this family. Another voice barked. I already did the moment you sold me. She fired back without turning. If this opening already shocked you, you're not ready for what happens next. Welcome to Mr. Caleb Stories. If you love intense billionaire romance with real consequences and real choices, take a second right now to subscribe and like, because this story is only getting started. Car doors slammed somewhere in the distance. Shoes pounded against the pavement. The night air stung her lungs. Grab her! Someone yelled. Emily darted past the line of black sedans waiting outside the banquet hall. She looked toward the street. Too open, too visible. No, she whispered. Not the road. She pivoted sharply toward the private parking section behind the venue. Her heels snapped. She kicked them off and kept running. Emily, don't be stupid, her cousin shouted. You don't know what you're doing. Yes, I do, she called back, breath breaking. I'm leaving. The music from the hall faded behind her. The only sound now was the rush of blood in her ears and footsteps closing in. Block the gate! A man yelled. Panic tightened her chest. The exit barrier ahead was already lowered. She scanned the lot wildly. Most vehicles were locked. Dark windows. No drivers. Please, she muttered, trying one handle. Locked. Another. Locked. Footsteps closer. There she is. Emily lunged toward the nearest car. Sleek and black, engine humming softly. She didn't check the plate. She didn't think so. She grabbed the handle and pulled. It opened without hesitation. She slipped inside and slammed the door shut. The interior was warm, quiet, controlled. The engine was already running. She froze. A deep male voice spoke beside her. You have 5 seconds, he said calmly, to explain why you are in my car. Emily's chest rose sharply. She turned slowly. The man behind the wheel did not look surprised. He looked assessing. Please, she said quickly, don't ask questions. Just drive outside. Fists struck the hood. There. That car. The driver's jaw tightened. He glanced through the windshield. Who are they? He asked. My family? That does not explain the pursuit. They're forcing me to marry someone I don't love. Her voice trembled, but did not break. If you open this door, they will drag me back. Another blow hit the side window. Open up. A man shouted. She belongs with us. The driver's eyes hardened at that word. Belongs? He repeated quietly. Yes, Emily swallowed. That's how they see it. He studied her for one measured second. White dress, bare feet, smudged mascara, real fear. Name, he said. Emily Carter. Are you injured? No. A shadow moved across the windshield. Someone leaned down, peering in. The man outside froze. Recognition flickered across his face. "Wait," the man muttered loudly. "That's—" Inside the car, the driver pressed a button. Click. All 4 doors were locked. Emily flinched at the sound. "Do not move," he said evenly. Another fist struck the glass. "Open the door," her uncle demanded. "This is a private matter." The driver lowered the window 2 inches. "Just enough. Is there a legal complaint?" he asked calmly. "This is family business," her uncle snapped. "That is not what I asked. Step out of the vehicle," her uncle ordered. The driver did not respond. He simply looked at him. Recognition settled fully outside. "It's him," someone whispered harshly. "Mikhail Volkov." The name spread through them like shock. Emily turned toward the driver. Yes," he said flatly. Outside, her uncle's tone shifted. "Mr. Volkov, this is a misunderstanding." Mikhail's eyes did not leave the road ahead. "I do not tolerate misunderstandings involving force," he replied. He raised the window. Outside, voices grew louder. Inside, silence thickened. Then someone outside shouted, "Call the press." Mikhail's fingers tightened slightly on the steering wheel, and for the first time, he looked at Emily not as an inconvenience, but as a decision. Mikhail's phone vibrated against the console. He ignored it. Outside, 2 men lifted their phones, recording. "Drive?" Emily whispered. "Please." He did not move. If he accelerated now, he would be photographed leaving with a bride in a wedding dress. Headlines would follow by morning. Investors would ask questions before breakfast. "Are you under legal guardianship?" he asked quietly. "No." "Are you of age?" "Yes." "Then you are not their property." Her uncle stepped in front of the car. "Mr. Volkov," he called sharply, forcing a polite tone. "You do not want to involve yourself in this." Mikhail lowered the window again, only slightly. "I am already involved," he replied. "This girl is emotional. Weddings are stressful." "I am not emotional," Emily snapped from her oat. "I said no 3 times. Her uncle's face hardened. "Emily, get out of that car." She shrank slightly, but did not reach for the handle. Mikhail glanced sideways at her. "If you step out now," he said calmly, "I will not stop you." She met his eyes. "I'm not stepping out." Silence. Her uncle's patience vanished. "Move the vehicle and you will regret it." "That sounds like a threat," Mikhail said. "It is advice." Another man tried the rear door. Locked. Mikhail's jaw tightened. He rolled the window up fully. "Seat belt," he told Emily. "What?" "Now." She clicked it in place with shaking fingers. The barrier gate ahead had fully lowered. Security at the venue hesitated, unsure whether to intervene. "Last chance," her uncle shouted. Mikhail pressed the accelerator. The engine surged forward smoothly, decisively. The man in front of the hood jumped aside at the final second. Gasps echoed behind them. Phones lifted higher. Emily gripped the edge of her seat as the car moved toward the exit. "Are they following?" she asked. Mikhail checked the rearview mirror. "Two cars started." "Yes," he said. He did not slow down. The gate arm began rising too late, and the chase had officially begun. The rear lights of two sedans flashed in Mikhail's mirror. "They won't stop," Emily said, twisting in her seat. "They never stop." "They will," he replied evenly. "How do you know?" "Because I decide when something ends." He tapped a control on the steering wheel. The car accelerated with quiet force, gliding onto the main road before the pursuing vehicles could align properly. One of the sedans attempted to cut across traffic. Horns blared. It fell back. Emily exhaled shakily. "You shouldn't have done that." "What would you prefer?" he asked. "Will I return you?" "No." Her answer came instantly. "I just didn't expect anyone to help." "I have not agreed to help," he said. "I agreed not to abandon." She stared at him. "Why?" Mikhail did not answer immediately. The city lights reflected across the windshield in steady streaks. "Because force is inefficient," he said at last. "I dislike inefficiency." A faint, almost disbelieving laugh escaped her. "That's your reason." "It is sufficient." Her phone vibrated in her lap. Once, twice, then continuously. She turned it over. Missed calls. Dozens. Her uncle. Her cousin. An unknown number. The man she was meant to marry. Mikhail noticed her expression. "How many?" She swallowed. 32. "Turn it off." She hesitated. "If I do, they'll panic." "They are already panicking." She powered it down. Silence filled the car again. Heavier now. "Where are you taking me?" she asked carefully. "Somewhere private." "That sounds dangerous." "For whom?" "For me." He glanced at her briefly. "You are in no danger with me, Emily Carter." "That's easy to say." "Then listen carefully," he said, his tone firm but controlled. "If I intended harm, I would not have driven into traffic to protect you." She held his gaze for a moment. "Are you calling the police?" she asked. "No." "Why not?" "Because I do not yet know your story." Know your story. He adjusted the navigation route with one precise movement. "I will hear it first." The car turned sharply onto a different road. And whatever this was, it had officially moved beyond accident. The dining room felt colder than the winter outside. Emily sat between her mother and uncle, hands folded in her lap, eyes lowered toward the untouched soup in front of her. Across the table, Viktor Sokolov smiled politely. Mikhail's future rival in business circles. A man twice her age. "This is an honor," Viktor said smoothly. "Our families will benefit greatly." "Benefit?" Emily's uncle nodded. "It is a strategic union. Stability for both sides." "I am not a contract," Emily said quietly. Her mother's fingers pressed into her thigh, beneath the table. "Not now," she whispered. Victor leaned forward. "Emily, I assure you, you will be comfortable. I will provide generously." "I don't need generosity," she replied. "I need a choice." Silence tightened around the table. Her uncle's voice hardened. "Choice is a luxury. We are correcting past financial strain. So I am paying," she asked. "You are family," her mother said quickly. "Family makes sacrifices." Victor folded his hands calmly. "There will be no pressure. You will grow to respect me." "I don't want to grow into anything," she said. "I already know what I want." "And what is that?" her uncle demanded. "My life." The word landed heavy. Victor's smile thinned. "This discussion has already been settled." "No." "By whom?" Emily asked. "By the people responsible for you." Her spoon clinked softly against porcelain as she set it down. "I am responsible for myself." Her uncle exhaled sharply. "You will not embarrass us." Her mother leaned closer. "Please, just let this proceed peacefully." Emily looked around the table. 4 adults. One decision already made. "Saturday," her uncle said firmly. "The ceremony is Saturday." Her heart pounded. "That's 3 days." "Yes." Victor stood, extending his hand to her uncle. "Then we agreed." Emily did not speak again. She sat there, breathing carefully, while the date of her marriage was finalized without her consent. Saturday. 3 days. No one asked her, yes or no. Emily closed her bedroom door carefully. The lock clicked, but she knew it meant little. Privacy in this house was conditional. A knock followed almost immediately. "Open the door," her uncle's voice called. She opened it halfway. "Yes?" "Your passport." She froze. "Why?" "For safekeeping." "Don't plan to travel." "That is not the point." She stared at him. "It's mine. It is under this household's protection." "Protection," she repeated. His hand extended. Now, reluctantly, she retrieved the small navy booklet from her drawer. He took it without another word and walked away. The door closed again. Her chest tightened. "Fine," she thought. "If they remove one option, I create another." She knelt beside her closet and reached into a shoebox hidden behind winter boots. Inside, folded between old photographs, was a small envelope. Emergency cash. Wasn't much, but it was enough for a cab, a motel, and distance. Her phone buzzed. No number. She answered cautiously. "Hello? Emily?" Victor's voice came through smoothly. "I trust your family explained everything. I heard enough. You will find I am reasonable." "I don't want to be reasonable," she said. "I want freedom. You will have comfort." "That's not the same." A pause. "You are upset," he said. "It will pass." "No," she replied quietly. "Won't?" He ended the call without saying goodbye. Emily placed the phone on her bed and exhaled slowly. "Think." She opened her laptop. Most of her bank access required dual verification now. Restricted. Her uncle had prepared for resistance. She opened a map instead. The ceremony location had been mentioned casually during dinner. A private hall owned by one of Victor's associates. She searched the address. 20 minutes away. Large parking structure attached. Her pulse quickened. If she couldn't leave before the ceremony, she would leave during it. Her phone vibrated again. A message from her cousin. "You're being dramatic. Just cooperate." She locked the screen. The envelope of cash disappeared into the lining of her handbag. A small plan had begun, and for the first time that night, she felt something close to control. Emily stood in front of her bedroom mirror, the half-pinned engagement sash resting across her shoulder. Her mother entered quietly. "You look beautiful." "I look arranged," Emily replied. Her mother sighed. "Victor is stable. That matters." "To you," Emily said. "Not to me." Her mother stepped closer. "We are recovering from debt. This marriage secures everything." "So I secure everything?" Emily asked. "You protect your family." Emily turned back to the mirror. "At what cost?" Her mother hesitated. "You'll adjust." "I don't want to adjust to someone I don't love." "Love grows, or it dies," Emily said softly. Her mother's expression tightened. "Do not shame us." "I'm not trying to." "Then stop resisting." Footsteps approached in the hallway. Her uncle's voice carried through the door. "She prepared?" Emily closed her eyes briefly. "I could say yes," she murmured to her reflection. "I could just let it happen." Her mother's tone softened. "That would be wise." A knock sounded. Her uncle entered without waiting. "We have guests coming tomorrow." Victor's parents expect cooperation. Emily inhaled slowly. "If I agree now, will you stop watching me?" Her uncle narrowed his eyes. "Why would we watch you?" "Because you don't trust me." "Trust is earned. I have done nothing wrong." "You have refused," he replied. The word lingered. She looked back at herself. Pale, controlled, almost compliant. "Fine," she said, after a long pause. "I'll cooperate." Relief flashed across her mother's face. "That's better," her uncle said. "We'll make this respectable." They left the room. The door closed. Silence pressed in. Emily's shoulders slumped. She lifted her arm to adjust the sash and noticed a faint mark near her wrist, a darkening bruise from earlier, when her uncle had gripped her too tightly during the argument. She touched it gently. "I almost said yes," she whispered to her reflection. The mirror offered no comfort, but the bruise did, because it reminded her exactly why she could not. The house felt different the morning before the ceremony. Too organized, too controlled. Emily stepped into the hallway and immediately noticed her cousin seated near the staircase. "You're up early," he said casually. "So are you. Just making sure everything runs smoothly." "Runs smoothly," she repeated. Her uncle appeared from the study. "Emily, today you remain home. No errands." Wasn't planning any good. Her phone had been placed on the kitchen counter overnight, not where she left it. She picked it up. Her uncle's eyes tracked the movement. "Who are you texting?" he asked. "No one." He studied her for a moment, longer than necessary. "We simply want no surprises." Emily forced a small nod. Later that afternoon, she volunteered to help deliver floral confirmations to the venue. "I can handle that," she said calmly. "It will show good faith." Her uncle considered it. "You'll be accompanied," he replied. "Of course." The drive to the hall was quiet. Her cousin sat in the passenger seat, scrolling through his phone. Emily watched the surroundings carefully. Private entrance, main entrance, security post, cameras near the gate. When they parked inside the structure, she noted the layout. 3 levels. Ramp access on the west side. Emergency stairwell near the elevator bank. Her cousin glanced at her. "Why are you looking around like that?" "Curiosity," she answered lightly. "Don't try anything," he said under his breath. "Why won't?" They stepped out of the car. Emily moved slowly, counting steps from the elevator to the exit ramp. 17. Back inside the hall, staff adjusted lighting and seating. Victor stood near the stage, speaking with an event coordinator. He saw her. "You made it," he said, with a satisfied smile. "I always show up," she replied. "Tomorrow will be smooth," he assured her. She nodded, memorizing the direction of the parking exit visible through the side doors. On the drive home, she remained quiet. Her plan was no longer vague. Was mapped. That night, she lay awake. She lay awake, fully dressed beneath her blanket, shoes hidden near the window. Ceremony morning would come quickly, and when it did, she would run. Mikhail Volkov disliked surprises. His mornings began with precision. Black coffee, financial briefings, no interruptions before 9. "Schedule," he said, without looking up from the tablet. His assistant, Irina, replied smoothly. Board strategy call at 10. Regulatory review at noon. Charity gala confirmation at 7. Cancel the gala. Wanna blinked. "It benefits your expansion in London." "It benefits photographs," he corrected. He stood from his desk, crossing the glass office toward the city skyline. His world was clean lines and controlled risk. "Media inquiries?" he asked. "Minimal this week," Irina answered. "You've stayed out of commentary." Good. Reputation was capital. He did not spend it on drama. A knock sounded. His chief financial officer, Dmitry, entered. "The Sokolov merger rumor is circulating again," Dmitry said. "Their family is seeking an alliance." "With whom?" Mikhail asked calmly. "Several firms. They are trying to recover from recent liquidity strain." Mikhail's expression remained neutral. "Not our concern. They have political backing. Political backing expires." Dmitry hesitated. "They are known for strong internal enforcement." "Enforcement?" Mikhail repeated. "Family control." Mikhail returned to his desk. "Then they are inefficient." His phone buzzed with an incoming call from an unknown number. He ignored it. Irina cleared her throat. You avoid any personal association with that family, yes? Yes. Good, she said. They create complications. Mikhail did not respond. He preferred distance from instability. Later that evening, he exited a private event earlier than planned, choosing discretion over publicity. Cameras flashed as he moved toward his car. Mr. Volkov, a reporter, called. Any comment on Sokolov partnerships? No, he replied, without slowing. He entered the back seat. As the car pulled away, he glanced briefly at the printed guest list he had declined to attend fully. One name caught his attention. Emily Carter, Sokolov family guest. His gaze lingered. Then he closed the folder. Sokolov. He recognized the name, and he knew exactly what kind of family it belonged to. The boardroom overlooked the river, 30 floors above ground. Mikhail sat at the head of the table, expression unreadable. Dmitri slid a report across to him. Public perception index is stable. No recent volatility. Keep it that way, Mikhail said. One of the board members leaned forward. Your last involvement in a personal dispute cost us 2 weeks of defensive press. I corrected it, Mikhail replied. Yes, the man said carefully, but we cannot afford emotional decisions. Mikhail's gaze hardened. I do not make emotional decisions. Irina entered quietly, handing him a discreet note. A private event. Sokolov's wedding tonight. Media presence expected. He folded the note once. After the meeting, Dmitri followed him into the hallway. You're not considering attendance. No? Good. Dmitri lowered his voice. The Sokolov family handles matters internally. If something goes wrong, you stay out. Mikhail stopped walking. And if something is already wrong, he asked. Dmitri frowned. Then it remains their business. Mikhail said nothing. That night, as his driver waited outside the venue for a brief drop-off, Mikhail remained inside the car, reviewing emails. Shouting broke through the noise of the event. He glanced up, a white dress running across marble steps. Men chasing. He exhaled slowly. Do not involve us. Dmitri's earlier warning echoed in his mind. His driver shifted uneasily. Sir? Stay, Mikhail said. He could call security. He could close the door. He could ignore it. That would be consistent. Instead, he watched as the young woman reached the parking section. He saw panic in her movement. Not theatrics, not drama. Fear. His hand hovered near his phone. Security. Police. Distance. But he did not dial because, for one brief second, their eyes met through the windshield, and what he saw there was not a performance. It was desperation. Mikhail's driver turned slightly in his seat. Sir, should I move the vehicle? Wait, Mikhail said. Emily had already slipped inside. Now the men outside were circling the car, shouting demands. His driver lowered his voice. If this is connected to the Sokolov family, we should disengage Mikhail watched through the rearview mirror as one man lifted his phone to record. "They are already recording," he said calmly. "Exactly," the driver replied. "This could damage the company." Mikhail weighed the options in silence. Exit the vehicle. Remove her. Return her to the family. Clean break or drive. Another hand struck the hood. Open the door. Someone shouted. Emily's breathing was uneven beside him. "Please," she whispered. "They won't stop." Mikhail turned to her fully for the first time. "Are you asking for protection?" he asked. "Yes." "Understand this," he said evenly. "Once I move this car, it will not be undone." "I understand." Outside, a man leaned close to the window. "Volkov, do not interfere." Mikhail pressed the window button halfway down. "She is of age?" he asked. "Yes," the man snapped. "Then she chooses." "She is confused." "She appears clear," Mikhail replied. The man's expression darkened. "You will regret this." Mikhail raised the window again. His driver spoke carefully. "Sir?" Mikhail placed his hands firmly on the steering wheel. "Seatbelt," he told Emily. She fastened it quickly. Cameras lifted higher outside. Headlines forming in real time. Mikhail pressed the accelerator. The car surged forward. A man jumped aside at the last second. Voices erupted behind them. In the side mirror, two vehicles started in pursuit. His driver inhaled sharply. "They're following?" "Yes," Mikhail replied. His phone vibrated with incoming calls from numbers he recognized. Board members. He ignored them. Behind them, someone snapped a clear photograph of the license plate. The line had been crossed publicly. There would be no quiet retreat from it. The car moved through the city at a controlled speed. Mikhail finally answered one of the calls. Dmitri's voice came through immediately. "What are you doing?" "Driving," Mikhail replied. "We have images already circulating." "That was inevitable. You could have stayed out of it." She entered the vehicle. "That does not obligate you." Mikhail glanced briefly at Emily beside him. "It does," he said, and ended the call. Emily watched him carefully. "You didn't have to do that. I am aware. They'll retaliate." "Yes." She folded her hands tightly. "Then drop me somewhere public. I'll disappear." "That would be reckless." "It would protect you." "I do not require protection." Her eyes searched his face. "Then why are you helping me?" Mikhail considered the question. "I am not helping," he said evenly. "I am correcting imbalance." "That sounds like business language." "It is a..." Her voice softened slightly. "You don't even know me." "Know enough." "What's that?" "That you were not leaving voluntarily." She exhaled slowly. His phone vibrated again. This time, he answered. "Sergei," he said. A deeper voice responded. "You have chosen visibility." "Yes." "Are you aware the Sokolovs have influence?" I am aware you could release her and claim confusion. No, pause. Then understand, Sergei continued carefully. This becomes legal. Then we prepare legally. You are assuming responsibility. Temporarily, Mikhail corrected. Sergei's tone sharpened. Temporary decisions often carry permanent cost. I will accept the cost. Silence followed. Where are you taking her? Sergei asked. To the Leninsky property. That is private. Exactly. The call ended. Emily looked at him. Was that your lawyer? Yes. And he advised retreat. And you ignored him. War rarely retreats. She studied him for a long moment. Why temporary? She asked. Because protection is a measure, he replied calmly, not ownership. Her shoulders lowered slightly at that. The car turned off the main road toward a gated estate. Behind them, no vehicles followed now, but the consequences already were, and they would not arrive quietly. The iron gates opened without hesitation. Emily watched them close behind the car, with a low mechanical hum. This is your? She asked, quietly. Yes. The property stretched wide beyond the driveway. Modern glass against controlled landscaping. No press, no noise, no witnesses. The car came to a smooth stop beneath a covered entrance. Mikhail stepped out, ousted. He walked around and opened her door. You may leave, he said. She looked up at him. You're not afraid I'll run again. You would not reach the road before security intervenes. That's comforting. It is not meant to be. She stepped out, barefoot, onto a cool stone. 2 uniformed guards stood at a distance. They will not approach you, Mikhail said, unless you request assistance. I don't need guards. They are not for you. She absorbed that. Inside, the house felt quiet, controlled. No personal photographs in view, no warmth either. Sit, Mikhail said, gesturing toward a long sofa. She remained standing. I'm not staying long. You will stay until we determine what is next. I don't want to be hidden, eh? You are not hidden, he replied. You are protected. That sounds similar. He paused. You may contact anyone you trust, he said. You may leave at any time. No door is locked. Except the gate? Yes. She exhaled slowly. Do you have cameras? She asked. The perimeter. Inside. No, she nodded. Are you going to interrogate me now? No. Then what? Mikhail removed his jacket and set it aside with deliberate calm. We wait, he said. For what? For the reaction. Her phone remained off in her hand. Turn it on, he added. She hesitated. If I am to protect you, I must understand the scale. I didn't ask for protection, she said. You entered my car. A pause. That was desperation. And this, he said evenly, is the consequence. Outside, security lights shifted across the gate. Inside, silence held steady. For the first time since she ran, Emily was not being chased, but she was not free either. Emily stood near the window, arms folded tightly across her chest. "You should take the guest suite," Mikhail said. "It is private. I'm not sleeping here. You will not return home tonight. That doesn't mean I belong here." "Belong is not the word I used." She turned to face him. "You're wealthy. I understand that. But don't mistake this for gratitude. I am not seeking gratitude." "Good." He walked toward a side table and placed a card on it. "That provides access to any expense you require." She didn't move toward it. "Don't want your money. It is not charity. It's a dependency. It is a tool. I didn't run to exchange one control for another." His expression remained steady. "Do you believe I intend to control you? Or I don't know you? Then observe." She stepped closer to the card, but didn't pick it up. "If I use that," she said carefully, "everyone will assume I chose you over them. They already assume that. That's different." "How?" "I want to leave on my own terms." Mikhail studied her quietly. "You refuse financial assistance," he said. "Yes, even temporarily." "Yes, you understand that independence carries cost." "I'm aware." He nodded once and picked the card back up without comment. "There will be no financial arrangement," he said. She blinked. "That's it. I do not negotiate autonomy." The tension in her shoulders eased slightly. "You're not angry?" she asked. "Why would I be? Most men would insist. I am not like most men." She let out a breath. She didn't realize she was holding. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what? For not trying to buy me?" Mikhail turned toward the hallway. "There is water in the kitchen," he said, "and spare clothing in the second bedroom. Choose what you need. I'll return it. I am not keeping inventory." She allowed a faint, uncertain smile. The estate felt secure, but she had drawn a clear line, and he had not crossed it. Emily stood in the kitchen doorway, holding a glass of water she hadn't touched. Mikhail remained at the far end of the counter, reviewing messages on his phone. "You're waiting?" she said. "Yes? For what exactly?" "For you to speak." She looked away. "I already told you enough. You told me you were forced." "That's true." "By whom?" "My uncle arranged it. My mother supported it. Victor accepted it." "Why?" She hesitated. "That is relevant." "I know." Silence filled the space between them. Mikhail did not press. "Debt," she said finally. "My father made investments that failed. The Sokolovs offered relief. In exchange for marriage." "Yes." "Was there coercion beyond pressure?" She swallowed. "Pressure is coercion. That is not always legally sufficient." Her jaw tightened. "I'm not trying to build a case. I am..." Stared at him. "Why?" Because if this escalates, facts matter. It will escalate, she replied quietly. Then I require clarity. She set the glass down carefully. There are things I'm not ready to discuss. Understood. You're not going to demand answers. No. Why? Because forced disclosure resembles forced marriage. Her eyes flicked up to his. That was deliberate, she said. Yes. Another stretch of silence passed. Heavier this time, but not hostile. I signed nothing, she added after a moment. Good. But they recorded a verbal agreement. That carries limited weight. She folded her arms again. There's more, she admitted softly. But I can't say it yet. Mikhail inclined his head slightly. When you are prepared, you will. You're not curious. I am, and I do not mistake curiosity for entitlement. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. You don't even know if I'm telling the truth. I do not believe you entered my vehicle as a performance. That's not what I meant. He met her gaze steadily. If you are lying, he said calmly, it will reveal itself. She let out a quiet breath. He had not interrogated her. He had not cornered her. He had left space, and that space felt unfamiliar, but safe. The house had quieted into the night. Emily stood near the staircase, uncertain. Which room? She asked. Second door, on the left, Mikhail replied. It overlooks the garden. She hesitated. And you? My office. You're not worried? About that I'll leave while you sleep. If you leave, he said evenly, it will be your decision. She studied him carefully. You keep saying that because it matters. She moved toward the stairs, but paused halfway. Why are you really doing this? She asked. Mikhail remained where he stood, hands loosely clasped behind his back. I dislike imbalance, he said. That's not personal. It is meant to be. I don't want to become your responsibility. You are not. You're taking calls. You're lawyer. You're bored. That is my burden. She descended a few steps again, coming closer to him. If this becomes public, she said quietly, they'll say I trapped you. They will say many things. And you? I will say nothing. That's risky. I am accustomed to risk. She folded her arms lightly. You don't owe me anything. I am aware. So, if tomorrow you decide this is inconvenient, I will inform you directly. No hidden conditions? None. She searched his expression for a trace of manipulation and found none. You're setting a boundary, she realized. Yes, between what? Protection and possession. Her throat tightened slightly. Thank you, she said. For what? For not turning this into something else. He inclined his head once. You may lock your door, if you prefer. Will that offend you? No, she nodded, and turned toward the staircase again. Halfway up, her phone vibrated in her hand. She had turned it back on. Known number. She ignored it. A moment later, Mikhail's phone buzzed sharply. He answered. "Yes," he said. His expression shifted, almost imperceptibly. "I see." He ended the call. Emily stopped at the top of the stairs. "What is it?" Mikhail looked up at her, calmly. "A formal notice has been drafted."
If we don't close this by the end of the day, the stock price will reflect the uncertainty. We have to move decisively.
"Has been drafted," he said. "They are preparing legal action." Silence settled between them. The protection had begun. So had the consequences. Mikhail arrived at headquarters earlier than usual. Irina was already waiting outside his office. "They've contacted us directly," she said. "Who?" he asked, though he already knew. "Sokolov representatives. They claim you interfered with a private family agreement." "Agreement implies consent," Mikhail replied calmly. "They are threatening reputational harm. They are already attempting it." Irina handed him a tablet. A formal letter. Polite language. Accusations framed as concern. "Mr. Volkov unlawfully removed an adult woman from a lawful family event," she read aloud. "Removed," he repeated. "They're using language carefully. They should." Dmitri entered without knocking. "This is escalating faster than expected." "Expected?" Mikhail asked. "You knew they would respond?" "Yes." Dmitri leaned forward. "They are alleging coercion on your part." Emily's voice echoed faintly in Mikhail's memory. "I don't want to exchange one control for another. I coerced no one," he said evenly. "They don't need proof," Dmitri replied. "They need doubt." Rena tapped the screen again. "They're requesting a private meeting to resolve the matter quietly." "Quiet resolution implies concession," Mikhail said. "And you won't concede?" Dmitri asked. "On what grounds?" Dmitri exhaled sharply. "You could state she left voluntarily and withdraw involvement." "She did leave voluntarily, then withdraw." Mikhail looked at him steadily. "No?" Dmitri's expression tightened. "This company cannot absorb prolonged controversy. This company is stable," Mikhail replied. "For now." Rena's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. "Press inquiry," she said. "They've caught wind of something." Mikhail stood. "Prepare a statement," he said. "What will it say?" Dmitri asked. "Nothing defensive. That's risky. So is silence." He moved toward the window, overlooking the city. "They contacted my company before speaking to her," he said calmly. "What does that tell you?" Irina asked. "That this was never about her." Behind the glass, the skyline remained indifferent. Inside, pressure was building, and the first move had already been made. Sergei arrived at the estate before noon. Emily sat across from him at the long dining table, hands folded but steady. "I represent Mr. Volkov," Sergei said politely. "But today, I am here to understand your position." "My position?" she asked. "Yes." "Were you detained against your will prior to leaving?" "My passport was taken," she replied. My phone access was restricted. Sergei nodded once. Was there physical restraint? Emily hesitated. Pressure. Gripping. Blocking exits. That may qualify, Sergei said. But we must be precise. Mikhail stood near the window, silent. What are they accusing him of? Emily asked. Interference, Sergei replied. Unlawful removal from a private engagement. I asked him to drive, she said firmly. That matters, Sergei answered. Consent is central. Her jaw tightened. They're saying I was confused, aren't they? Yes, I was not confused. Can you testify to that calmly, under questioning? She met his gaze. Yes, Sergei leaned back slightly. Coercion, he continued, is defined by the absence of free choice under pressure or threat. Cultural expectation alone is not sufficient. We must demonstrate constraint. My passport, she repeated. Documented? Not yet. Sergei turned to Mikhail. We will need evidence. You have it, Mikhail replied. Emily looked between them. What happens if I don't pursue anything legally? Sergei answered carefully. Then the narrative shifts. It becomes a misunderstanding. He appears intrusive, and if I do pursue it, it becomes a dispute of autonomy, which carries scrutiny. Scrutiny for him, she said quietly. For both of you, silence followed. Mikhail finally spoke. You owe me no legal action. Sergei glanced at him. That may weaken your defense. I am aware, Emily inhaled slowly. If I step forward, this becomes public. Yes, Sergei said. She looked at Mikhail. You knew this, she said. Yes. And you still drove? Yes. Sergei closed his folder. Then we prepare for escalation, he said. Outside the window, the gates remained closed. Inside, the decision was no longer abstract. It was forming a shape. By evening, the first article appeared online. Irina entered Mikhail's office, holding her tablet. They're framing it as interference, she said. The headline suggests you intervened in a private ceremony. Mikhail did not look surprised. Which outlet? 2 financial platforms. 1 social column. The language is careful. Emily stood near the doorway, reading over Irina's shoulder. They're saying I appeared distressed, Emily said quietly. That helps, Irina replied. It also makes me look unstable. They're shaping doubt, Mikhail said. His phone buzzed repeatedly. Notifications. Messages. Board members requesting emergency review. Dmitry joined the call through the speaker. Investors are asking questions, he said. They want reassurance that this won't expand. It already has, Mikhail answered. Then issue distance, Dmitry insisted. State that you provided transport. Only Emily looked at him sharply. I asked him to drive, she said. Dmitry's voice paused. And that's what we can say. That's the whole truth, she replied. What more is there? Dmitri asked cautiously. I left because I had no choice. Silence followed on the line. Mikhail spoke evenly. We will not minimize. That may cost you, Dmitri warned. It may. Irina refreshed the screen. Photographs are circulating. Emily stiffened. What? The parking lot. You entering the vehicle. Do they show anyone chasing me? She asked. No, Emily swallowed. Then it looks voluntary. Yes, Irina confirmed. Dmitri's tone sharpened. This is exactly why withdrawal is smart. Mikhail leaned back slightly. If I withdraw, he said, what message does that send? That you are uninvolved? And if I am involved, then you are exposed. Emily stepped forward. You can step back, she said quietly. I won't blame you. Mikhail met her gaze. I will not step back from imbalance, he said. Irina's phone chimed again. Another article, she said softly, speculating personal motives. Emily's fingers tightened at her sides. It's starting, she murmured. Yes, Mikhail replied calmly. The story had moved beyond private dispute. Now the public was watching. The board meeting convened without delay. Mikhail entered the conference room. As screens displayed headlines in rotation, Dmitri stood near the head of the table. This must be addressed directly. It will be, Mikhail replied. One board member leaned forward. You have always maintained distance from personal entanglements. This contradicts your president. I am aware. Then correct it. Mikhail remained standing. What correction do you propose? He asked. Clarify that you acted without full knowledge, another member suggested. State that you regret unintended escalation. Emily's words echoed faintly in his mind. I don't want to exchange one control for another. I do not regret, Mikhail said calmly. Silence followed. This is not about regret, Dmitri pressed. It is about containment. Containment suggests wrongdoing. It suggests management. Mikhail clasped his hands behind his back. She requested assistance, he said evenly. She is an adult, and if her family disputes that narrative, then they may present evidence. Pause. You are risking shareholder confidence, Dmitri said. I am protecting autonomy. That is not a corporate objective. It is mine. The room quieted. Another board member spoke carefully. Withdraw support publicly. Privately, you may assist if necessary. Mikhail shook his head once. No, Dmitri's voice lowered. You are choosing this. Yes. Emily stood outside the glass wall, unseen by most of the room. She watched him refuse. Not defensively, not emotionally. Firmly, Irina stepped inside with her phone raised slightly. A formal complaint has been filed, she said. Against whom? Dmitri asked. Mr. Volkov. Alleging unlawful interference and reputational harm. The room fell still. Mikhail nodded once. Then we respond legally, he said. You understand the exposure? Dmitri asked. Yes. Financial, political, personal, yes. He looked toward the glass wall. The glass wall, briefly. Emily stood there, silent. I will not withdraw, he repeated. Outside the room, her breath caught quietly. Inside, the cost had just become official, and there would be no quiet resolution now. The complaint had not slowed the pressure. If anything, it sharpened it. Mikhail stood in the study with Sergei across from him, a folder open on the desk. There is a solution, Sergei said evenly. Temporary relocation. Emily sat in the leather chair near the window, listening. Where? She asked. Zurich, Sergei replied. You would remain out of immediate jurisdictional reach. No contact. Minimal exposure. For how long? She asked. Till the matter cools. Mikhail folded his arms. It would remove you from direct scrutiny. It would remove me from my life, she said. You are already removed, Sergei pointed out. Temporarily, Mikhail corrected. Sergei continued. You would not be conceding. You would be avoiding escalation. Emily looked between them. What happens here while I disappear? She asked. We manage the complaint, Sergei said. With what narrative? She pressed. That it was a misunderstanding. Mikhail's jaw tightened slightly. Emily stood, so I leave. And it looks like I ran twice. That is not how we would frame it, Sergei replied. But that is how they would. Silence lingered. It protects you, Sergei added carefully. Does it? She asked. Reduces immediate risk. To him, she said quietly. Mikhail met her eyes. I am capable of handling risk, he said. This isn't about pride, Sergei replied. It isn't about pride, Mikhail agreed. It's about the outcome. Emily's voice softened. If I leave the country, they win? No, Sergei countered. They lose visibility. They win control, she said. Mikhail studied her. You do not want relocation, he said. I want resolution. Resolution is slow, Sergei replied. Let it be slow. Sergei closed the folder. Consider it, he said. Disappearance is sometimes strategic. Emily looked at Mikhail. If I leave, she asked quietly, will you insist? No, he replied. She nodded once. The offer hung between them. Protection through distance, or confrontation through presence. And the choice was no longer his. The guest room felt smaller than before. Emily sat on the edge of the bed, passport absent from her drawer, but still heavy in memory. Zurich, clean break, quiet disappearance. No cameras, no headlines. She imagined stepping off a plane alone. No family, no pressure, but also no resolution. A soft knock sounded. Mikhail remained at the doorway. You are thinking. Yes. About leaving? Yes. He did not step inside. If you relocate, he said calmly, I will arrange security and independence. You will not be hidden under my name. And if I stay, you will face scrutiny. And you, I already am. She looked down at her hounds. My mother will say I ran because I was unstable. My uncle will say I embarrassed them. He will protect his interests. Silence settled. If I leave, she said slowly, it confirms their version. Possibly, and if I stay, you contest it. She stood and crossed the room. I am tired of running, she admitted. Mikhail watched her carefully. You ran once, he said. I ran twice, she corrected. Once from dinner, once from the ceremony. He did not argue. Zurich sounds safe, she continued. But safe is not the same as right. No, he agreed. She exhaled slowly. I could disappear, she said. Start somewhere new. No history. And they would still tell the story their way. Mikhail stepped slightly closer, but remained measured. You do not owe the public a narrative. I owe myself one. Her voice did not shake. If I leave now, she continued, every future decision will feel like retreat. And if you stay, he asked, then I choose. The word settled firmly between them. If you were in her position, would you run or would you stay silent? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them all. And if you respect courage over comfort, support Mr. Caleb's stories by subscribing and liking this video. Your support keeps these stories coming. Mikhail inclined his head slightly. Then you already know your answer. She met his gaze. Yes, outside the window, the gates remained closed. Inside, something else had opened. Then the decision was forming with clarity. The study was quiet. No phones, no advisors, no board members, only silence. Emily stood near the desk, looking at the formal complaint copy Sergei had left behind. Her name appeared nowhere in it, only his. This is about you, she said softly. Mikhail remained by the window. It is about control. They're accusing you of interference. Yes, because the first ran. Because you ran publicly. She touched the edge of the document. If I stay silent, she said slowly, they build their version without me. Yes, if I leave the country, they say I was confused. Yes, and if I speak, they will challenge you. She nodded once. My mother will deny it. She may. My uncle will say I exaggerated. He will. Mikhail turned slightly toward her. Truth does not become weaker because it is contested, he said. She looked at him. Why are you so calm? She asked. Because panic benefits no one. She gave a faint, tired smile. I'm not calm. You do not need to be. Another stretch of quiet followed. Her reflection appeared faintly in the glass window beside him. White dress replaced by borrowed clothes. Hair undone. No makeup. Not a bride. Not a runaway. Just a woman in transition. If I file a statement, she said, there is no retreat. No, they will call it betrayal. Yes, she inhaled deeply. And you? I will remain. She searched his face carefully. Even if it worsens? Yes. Why? Because the first drove. The simplicity of the answer steadied her. Not possession. Not rescue. Responsibility. She walked to the desk and picked up her phone. Call Sergei, she said. Mikhail did not hesitate. He dialed. When the lawyer answered, Mikhail handed her the phone. She placed it to her ear. I'm ready, she said. Her voice did not tremble, and the silence that followed was not fear. It was resolved. Sergei arrived within the hour. Documents were placed neatly across the study desk. Clean pages. Precise language. This will enter public record, he said carefully. Once filed, it cannot be withdrawn quietly. Emily nodded. I understand. Mikhail remained standing, silent. Sergei continued. You will state that you were pressured into a marriage arrangement, that your passport was confiscated, and that you left voluntarily requesting transport. Yes, you must be consistent under questioning. Will be. Sergei slid the pen toward her. Before you sign, he added, consider one last time. Relocation remains an option. Emily glanced briefly at Mikhail. He said nothing. No persuasion. No direction. Just presence. She looked back at the document. My name won't disappear if I hide, she said quietly. It will just disappear from the truth. Sergei gave a small nod. Then sign. She picked up the pen. Her hand paused for only a second. This will hurt my family, she said softly. Possibly, Sergei replied. Sergei replied. But it may protect you, she signed. The ink pressed firmly into the page. Sergei gathered the documents immediately. I will file this within the hour, he said. Emily exhaled slowly, as if releasing something long held. Mikhail stepped closer, but maintained distance. It is done, he said. Yes, she replied. Sergei left with the folder, secured. The room felt different, not lighter, but defined. Emily looked at Mikhail. They'll say I chose you, she said. You chose yourself, he corrected. Her phone buzzed seconds later. Notification. She looked down. Her name, registered within the formal complaint response. Public record updated. She swallowed. It's official, she said quietly. Mikhail met her eyes. Yes, outside the estate, headlines were already shifting. Inside, the pivot had occurred. There was no retreat now. The emergency board session was no longer private. 3 external advisors, joined by video. Legal consultants, present, market analysts, listening. Mikhail entered without haste. Dmitri spoke first. Her statement is now public. I am aware, Mikhail replied. You understand, this reframes the complaint. Yes. It escalates it. Yes. A senior board member leaned forward. This is no longer a misunderstanding. It is an accusation of coercion. It is a response to coercion, Mikhail corrected calmly. Your name is attached to a domestic dispute. My name is attached to a transport decision. Dmitri's voice sharpened. You are minimizing. I am clarifying. Another board member spoke. We have investors calling hourly. They want assurance that this does not expand into political conflict. It may, Mikhail said evenly. Silence followed. You are prepared to absorb loss? Dmitri asked. Yes, for a woman you met yesterday, for a decision I made yesterday. Irina entered quietly, with updated market data. Minor volatility, she reported. Nothing critical yet, Dmitri added. A legal consultant on screen cleared his throat. The opposing side is claiming cultural defamation. They argue she misunderstood tradition. Mikhail's gaze hardened slightly. She stated otherwise. Tradition is subjective, the consultant replied. Autonomy is not, Mikhail answered. Dmitri stood. Withdraw visible support. Let her legal team proceed independently. I will not, Mikhail said. You risk a reputation built over decades. I built it to act, he replied. The room fell quiet. One board member asked carefully, Is this personal? No. Then why refuse distance? Because distance implies doubt. Dmitri exhaled sharply. You are choosing exposure. Yes? Rina's phone chimed again. They've requested preliminary hearing scheduling, she said. The pressure was no longer theoretical. It had a calendar, and it was approaching quickly. Sergei laid several printed articles across the table. They are framing this as cultural misinterpretation, he said. The opposing counsel is suggesting family expectation, not coercion. Emily scanned the pages. So, if enough people believe it's tradition, she said quietly, it becomes acceptable, socially, sometimes, Sergei replied. Legally, not necessarily. Mikhail remained seated beside her. Explain it clearly, Emily said. Sergei nodded. In control-based family systems, he began, authority is centralized. Decisions are presented as collective benefit. Resistance is labeled selfishness. Over time, compliance feels obligatory. That's exactly what they said, Emily replied. You protect your family. Yes, Sergei said. Language becomes leverage. And if I refuse, then you are unstable, ungrateful, dramatic. Emily let out a slow breath. They already called me emotional. Mikhail spoke quietly. Emotion does not invalidate autonomy. Sergei continued. Psychologically, coercion often operates without overt violence. Restricting movement, confiscating documents, limiting communication. My passport, Emily said. Yes? Will the court understand that? They will examine consistency, Sergei replied. Your testimony must be calm, precise, factual. Emily nodded slowly. They'll try to provoke me. They will to make me appear irrational. Yes. Mikhail looked at her carefully. Can you remain steady? She met his gaze. I was steady when I ran. That was urgent. This is clarity. Sergei closed the folder. The hearing will focus on consent, he said. You must demonstrate the absence of free choice. I can, she replied. Mikhail studied her for a moment. This will not be easy, he said. I didn't expect it to be easy. Outside the estate, media vans had begun circling the main gate. Inside, the explanation was no longer abstract. It had structure, and it would soon have witnesses. The preliminary hearing was scheduled quickly. Emily sat at the long table inside the legal office, posture straight, hands resting calmly in front of her. Sergei leaned in slightly. They will ask direct questions. Answer directly. Do not elaborate beyond what is asked. I understand. Mikhail stood near the back wall, not beside her, not shielding her, present, but separate. Opposing counsel entered with controlled confidence. Ms. Carter, the woman began, is it correct that no physical force prevented you from leaving your home prior to the ceremony? Emily held her gaze. My passport was taken. That is not physical restraint. It restricted my movement. The lawyer continued. Were you locked inside the property? No. Were you chained? No. Then why did you not leave earlier? Emily's voice remained steady. Because pressure can be structural. A faint shift occurred in the room. The lawyer pressed again. Did Mr. Volkov instruct you to accuse your family? No. Did he promise you anything in exchange for your statement? No. Financial support? No. Protection? I asked him to drive. Mikhail's expression did not change. The lawyer leaned forward. Did he encourage legal action? No, I chose it. Sergei watched carefully, saying nothing. The lawyer shifted tactics. Is it possible you misunderstood your family's intention? Emily inhaled slowly. They told me the date was fixed, she replied. They took my documents. They blocked my exit. That is not a misunderstanding. A brief silence followed. You are aware, the lawyer said, that public accusations carry consequences? Yes. And you proceed anyway? Yes. Her tone did not rise, did not tremble. When the questioning paused, Mikhail caught her eye briefly. No nod, no signal, just acknowledgement. She had spoken for herself, and she had done so without fear. But outside the building, cameras were already waiting, and the narrative was still forming. The hallway, outside the hearing room, was louder than the courtroom itself. Reporters stood behind a cordon, microphones raised. Mr. Volkov, one called, are you personally involved with Ms. Carter. He did not slow his stride. Did you encourage her to accuse her family? Another asked. He stopped, briefly. She made her own decision, he said evenly. Are you financially supporting her? No. Will you continue public association with her during this dispute? Mikhail's gaze remained steady. Yes. A murmur rippled through the press line. Behind him, Emily emerged beside Sergei. Cameras shifted instantly. Emily, a reporter, shouted, "Are you staying at Mr. Volkov's estate?" "That is not relevant," she replied calmly. "Is this a relationship?" "No," she said clearly. "This is a legal matter." Mikhail glanced at her briefly, but did not interrupt. One reporter pushed further. "Do you fear retaliation from your family?" Emily met the question without flinching. "I fear silence more," she said. The microphones moved closer. Dmitri stood at a distance, watching the scene unfold with visible tension. Mikhail stepped forward again. "There will be no further comment," he stated firmly. He placed a measured hand at Emily's back, not possessive, not guiding, simply signaling departure. As they reached the vehicle, Dmitri approached quickly. "You didn't need to answer that last question," he muttered. "Yes, I did," Mikhail replied. "You just confirmed alignment. I confirmed support. That distinction won't matter publicly. It matters to me." Emily entered the car first, this time. Mikhail followed. As the door closed, Irina's phone buzzed with an update. She glanced at the screen. "The court has scheduled the formal hearing," she said quietly. "When?" Dmitri asked. 2 weeks. The date had been set. The dispute now had a timeline, and the pressure would only intensify from here. The estate felt quieter after the hearing. No advisors, no calls, no strategy meetings. Emily stood on the balcony overlooking the garden, arms resting lightly against the railing. Mikhail joined her without speaking. "They think this is about you," she said after a moment. "They think many things. Does it bother you?" "No," she glanced sideways. "That's not true." He did not deny it. "It complicates perception," he said evenly. "And you care about perception? I care about precision." She gave a faint smile. "You talk like a contract, and you talk like someone who no longer wants to be one." That made her look at him fully. "I didn't expect you to stay," she admitted. "You expected a retreat?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because this is expensive. Financially, in every way." He rested his hands along the railing, not touching hers. "I chose to drive," he said again. "That's not what I mean." "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "I mean, you didn't owe me anything. And you still don't." "Correct." "Then why remain visible beside me?" He considered her carefully. "Because absence would imply doubt, and presence implies what?" Consistency. She studied his expression. Do you trust me? She asked quietly. Yes. Blinked. That was fast. You have been consistent. In what? In choosing yourself. She looked away briefly. Trust is new for me, she said. It feels unstable. Trust is not unstable, he replied calmly. It is deliberate. She let out a slow breath. I don't want this to become dependence. It will not. You can't promise that. I can promise boundaries. She nodded slowly. For the first time since she ran, the silence between them did not feel defensive. It felt intentional. That shift was subtle but real. Later that evening, they sat across from each other in the study. No files, no legal briefs, just quiet. You've never told me why this bothers you so much, Emily said. Coercion? He asked. Yes. He leaned back slightly. When I was younger, he began, my father arranged partnerships I did not agree with. In business, in life, she waited. He believed alignment meant obedience. Mikhail continued. Education chosen. Associates selected. Decisions made before I spoke. And you accepted it? For a time. What changed? I learned that compliance builds resentment. Emily watched him carefully. Did you confront him? Yes. And he called it discipline. She absorbed that. Did you leave? I expanded independently. That sounds strategic. It was necessary. A faint tension lingered in his tone. You don't speak about him much, do you? She asked. There is little value in revisiting, but it shaped you. Yes, that's why you reacted that night. I reacted because you asked. That's not the whole truth. He held her gaze steadily. I recognized a pattern, he said. In me? In the structure. Silence followed. You could have stayed detached, she said. Tried and failed. I chose differently. She leaned forward slightly. That regret? She asked. No, what then? Correction. She considered that word carefully. You regret not correcting sooner? She pressed. He paused. Yes. The admission was quiet, but unguarded. For yourself? She asked. Yes. The air between them shifted. This was not business language now. It was personal. I'm not your correction, she said softly. I know. Oh, I don't want to be. You are not. Another quiet moment passed. Then what am I? She asked. He answered without hesitation. A decision? Her breath caught slightly at that. Not ownership. Not an obligation. A decision. That felt different. The days before the formal hearing moved slower. Media attention had not faded. But inside the estate, the rhythm changed. Emily sat at the kitchen counter, reviewing notes Sergei had prepared. Mikhail entered quietly. You do not need to memorize responses, he said. I'm not memorizing. I'm understanding. That is better. She set the papers down. Are you ever tired? She asked. Of being controlled? He considered the question. Control is not the same as restraint. That sounds technical. It is. She leaned back slightly. I'm trying to understand you. Why? Because I don't want to project. Project what? That you're rescuing me. He met her eyes calmly. I am not rescuing you. Good. I am supporting your decision. That's different. Yes. A quiet understanding passed between them. You haven't asked me to stay, she said after a moment. No, you haven't asked me to leave either. No, that's deliberate. Yes. She stood and walked toward the window. I keep waiting for a condition, she admitted. Some expectations I haven't noticed. There is none. That's new for you, yes. He approached but kept distance. You fear obligation, he observed. I fear repayment. There is nothing to repay. She turned toward him fully. Most men would leverage this situation. I am not leveraging. She searched his face again. Slower this time. You're not trying to impress me. No. You're not trying to possess me. No. You're not even trying to persuade me. No. A faint, almost surprised laugh escaped her. That's unsettling. Why? Because it means I have to choose freely. Yes, the simplicity of it settled deeply. She was not being guided, not being cornered, not being directed. She was simply standing in a space where she could decide. And that space, more than anything, was unfamiliar, but steady. The evening before the formal hearing, the estate felt unusually still. No strategy calls, no legal updates, just quiet anticipation. Emily stood in the main hallway, holding her phone loosely in her hand. I've been thinking, she said. Mikhail looked up from where he stood near the fireplace. That is usually productive, he replied. She gave him a brief look. Don't deflect. I am not. She stepped closer, measured. When this ends, she began, I don't want to disappear. You will not be required to. That's not what I mean. He waited. I don't want to leave because of pressure. And I don't want to stay because of fear. Then stay for neither, he said. She studied him carefully. If I remain here, she said slowly, it must be because I choose it. Then choose it, he replied evenly. You make that sound simple. It is. No, it isn't. He tilted his head slightly. Why not? Because people will assume. They already do. They'll say, I replaced one arrangement with another. Let them speak. She hesitated. I need to know something, she said quietly. Ask. If this becomes inconvenient, financially, politically, you won't resent me. I do not resent decisions I support. And you support this? Yes? She exhaled slowly.
What is your comment on the allegations?
Are you planning to resign?
How do you respond to the claims?
Slowly. I'm not staying because I need protection, she said. I know I'm not staying, because I have nowhere else to go. I know. She held his gaze firmly now. I'm staying because I choose to stand in the middle of this. Don't hide from it. His expression did not shift, but something in his posture softened. Then it is your choice, he said. It is. Her phone buzzed lightly, with a notification reminder about the hearing schedule. She silenced it. I'm staying, she said quietly. Understood. By choice. Yes, the words settled clearly between them. Not an obligation, not rescue, choice. The courtroom was smaller than the headlines had suggested. No dramatic architecture, no raised voices, just structure. Emily sat beside Sergei at the front table. Mikhail sat one seat behind, not beside her. Opposite them, Viktor Sokolov and her uncle remained composed, their counsel arranging documents in neat stacks. A clerk called the case number. All rise. The judge entered without ceremony. Be seated. Emily folded her hands carefully. Her breathing was steady. Sergei leaned slightly toward her. Answer what is asked. Nothing more. She nodded. Across the aisle, Viktor glanced at her briefly. No anger, no warmth, calculation. The judge adjusted his glasses. We are here to examine the complaint of unlawful interference and the counterstatement regarding coercion. This court will determine preliminary standing. Emily swallowed quietly. The opposing counsel stood first. Your Honor, this is a matter of cultural misinterpretation. A family arrangement was mischaracterized. Mr. Volkov inserted himself into a private ceremony. Sergei remained still. The judge turned toward Emily. Ms. Carter, have you confirmed that you left the venue voluntarily? Yes. And you requested transport from Mr. Volkov? Yes. Were you physically restrained from leaving your home prior to the event? My passport was taken, she replied calmly. A pen scratched faintly across paper. The judge's gaze shifted toward Victor's counsel. We will proceed systematically, he said. Mikhail remained composed behind her, hands clasped loosely. Emily felt the weight of the room, but not the panic she once expected. This was no longer about escape. It was about clarity. The hearing had begun, and every word would now matter. And outside the estate walls, the hearing clock was still counting down. The judge folded his hands. Counsel, clarify the legal foundation. Victor's attorney stood. Your Honor, there was no unlawful confinement. No contract was signed under duress. The event was ceremonial. Sergei rose calmly. Ceremonial does not negate coercive pressure. The judge nodded. Proceed. Sergei turned slightly toward Emily. Ms. Carter, did you consent freely to the marriage arrangement? No. Were you given the opportunity to decline without consequence? No. What consequence was implied? My family's financial stability, she answered. The opposing counsel interjected. Financial discussion is not coercion. Sergei replied evenly. Restriction of documents, isolation, and pressure may collectively establish coercive influence. The judge leaned forward. Explain that. Sergei complied. In control-based arrangements, Your Honor, consent becomes compromised when an individual's mobility or autonomy is restricted. Removal of travel documents limits exit options. Social pressure tied to debt can create functional constraints. The courtroom remained quiet. The judge turned to Emily again. Did anyone threaten you physically? No direct threat, she said. Then why did you feel unable to refuse? Because refusal was treated as betrayal. The judge made a note. Opposing counsel rose again. Ms. Carter, is it not true that your family invested significantly in your upbringing? Yes. They sought stability. Yes. Then why characterize this as coercion? Emily held steady. Because stability was conditioned on my compliance. A brief pause followed. The judge addressed both sides. The issue before this court is not cultural preference. It is whether free choice was impaired. Mikhail watched without interruption. The procedure moved slowly, but deliberately. Every word measured. Every claim tested. This was no longer public speculation. It was legal scrutiny, and the line between expectation and coercion was now under examination. Victor's attorney approached the center of the room. Ms. Carter, she began smoothly, you stated your passport was taken. Who physically removed it? My uncle, Emily replied. Did he state you were forbidden to leave the country? He said it was being kept for safekeeping. So no explicit prohibition, no explicit permission either. A murmur moved faintly through the gallery. The attorney continued. Did anyone lock you in a room? No. Chain you? No. Then why not leave days earlier? Emily did not rush her answer. Because control does not always require locks. The attorney tilted her head slightly. Explain. My movements were monitored. My phone was reviewed. My schedule was set. My refusal was dismissed. That sounds like parental authority. I am not a minor. The judge glanced at Victor's counsel. Proceed carefully. The attorney shifted strategy. Is it possible, she asked, that you panicked at the scale of the event? No. Is it possible you misinterpreted family guidance as force? No. Is it possible, the attorney pressed, that Mr. Volkov influenced your perspective? Emily turned slightly, meeting Mikhail's gaze briefly before answering. No. The attorney raised a brow. You are currently residing on his property. Yes. Does that not suggest influence? It suggests location, Emily replied evenly. A faint stir followed. The attorney attempted one final angle. Do you have romantic involvement with Mr. Volkov? No. Then why align yourself so publicly with him? I aligned with my decision. The attorney paused. And your decision was to leave? Yes. Without hesitation, with clarity. The courtroom quieted again. Mikhail remained composed, offering no interruption. The narrative of confusion had been challenged directly, and it had not held. But the ruling was still pending, and the weight of it had not yet fallen. The judge removed his glasses and set them carefully on the bench. The courtroom fell silent. We have heard arguments regarding cultural expectation, alleged interference, and claims of coercion, he said evenly. He glanced first at Victor and his counsel. The complaint against Mr. Volkov asserts unlawful removal. He shifted his gaze toward Emily. The counterstatement asserts impaired consent. Emily's posture remained straight. Sergei kept his hands folded calmly beside her. The judge continued, "This court does not adjudicate family preference. It adjudicates the legal threshold." A faint rustle moved through the gallery. "Miss Carter," the judge said, "you confirm under oath that you requested transport voluntarily?" "Yes." "And that no physical force was used by Mr. Volkov to remove you?" "Yes." The judge nodded slightly. To the matter of alleged coercion, the court recognizes that consent must be free, informed, and unpressured. Removal of identification documents and monitoring of personal movement may be relevant. Victor's attorney shifted in her seat. However, the judge added, "This court requires additional evidentiary review before making a determination." A subtle exhale passed through the room. The judge turned back to both parties. The preliminary complaint of unlawful interference is not substantiated at this stage. It remains under examination, pending further review. Mikhail did not react. Emily remained still. "As for the claim of coercive influence," the judge continued, "a formal evidentiary hearing will be scheduled." A clerk leaned towards the bench and whispered. The judge nodded. "The court sets the date for final review in 10 days. 10 days. Not dismissal. Not resolution. Suspension." The gavel struck once. "Adjourned." The chairs shifted. Voices rose carefully. Emily remained seated for a second longer. "It's not over," she said quietly. "No," Sergei replied. Mikhail stepped closer, but did not touch her. "They did not succeed today," he said evenly. She nodded. Outside the courtroom doors, reporters were already assembling again. The outcome had not been declared, and the final decision still waited. 10 days passed, with restrained tension. When the courtroom reconvened, the atmosphere felt sharper. No raised voices, no spectacle, just anticipation. Emily sat upright, calm. Mikhail remained one seat behind her again. The judge entered promptly. "Be seated." Files were arranged. Statements reviewed. "We return to determine 2 matters," the judge said. "The allegation of unlawful interference and the question of impaired consent." Emily's pulse remained steady. The judge continued. "On the first matter, this court finds insufficient evidence that Mr. Volkov engaged in unlawful removal. The respondent confirmed voluntary transport." A quiet stir moved through the room. Mikhail did not react. The judge shifted slightly. On the second matter, this court recognizes that removal of personal documentation and restriction of autonomous decision-making may constitute coercive influence. Victor's counsel adjusted papers carefully. Further review of testimony confirms that consent was materially impaired. Emily inhaled slowly. Therefore, the judge concluded, the engagement arrangement is deemed legally void. Silence fell. Not dramatic. Definitive. The judge closed the file. This court does not compel familial alignment. It protects voluntary choice. The gavel struck once. It is resolved. Emily's fingers tightened briefly against the edge of the table. Resolved? Not won. Resolved. Mikhail's voice was quiet behind her. You are free, she nodded. But freedom felt different than she had imagined. Less explosive, more grounded. The ruling had been delivered. With it, the structure that bound her had ended. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered again. Ms. Carter, one called, do you consider this a victory? Emily paused. It's clear, she replied. Will you return to your family? That's private. Will there be reconciliation? She met the question calmly. Respect must precede reconciliation. Mikhail stood a few steps behind her, allowing her voice to stand alone. Across the plaza, Victor approached with measured composure. Emily, he said. She turned to face him. This did not need to become public, he stated. Was already public, she replied. You embarrassed your family. I chose my life. He studied her for a moment longer. You believe this ends it. It ends the arrangement. Victor's jaw tightened slightly. My family will recover. I hope they do. He gave a brief nod and stepped away. Her uncle remained at a distance, saying nothing. Mikhail approached. Only once the space cleared. You handled that well, he said. I didn't handle it, she replied. Lived it? He inclined his head. Where will you go now? He asked. She looked at the courthouse doors behind them. Not back there, she said softly. Your mother? I will speak to her. On my terms, and your future? She exhaled slowly. For the first time, it's not scheduled. He watched her carefully. You understand this was not a rescue? He said. I know you acted. Yes, and I drove. Yes. A faint smile touched her lips. That's a strange partnership, she said. It is not a partnership, he replied calmly. She looked at him. Not yet, she corrected. He did not answer. But he did not disagree either. The marriage arrangement had been voided, but something else had begun. Not an obligation, not debt, something chosen. The estate felt different when they returned. Not temporary anymore, intentional. Emily stood in the center of the living room, looking around as if seeing it clearly for the first time. I won't stay here long, she said. Mikhail removed his jacket and placed it neatly on the chair. I did not assume you would need my own place. Yes, my own work, my own name. Yes. She studied him carefully. You're not offering to arrange it. No? Why? Because you do not want it arranged. A small breath of relief escaped her. Exactly. She moved toward the window. I've been thinking about going back to school, she said, finishing what I paused. What did you study? International law. He raised a brow slightly. That aligns. With what? With today? She allowed herself a small smile. I don't want to build my life reacting to what happened, she continued. I want to build it by choosing no. You are. She turned back to him. I won't accept financial help. I did not offer. I know. Silence settled, but not uncomfortably. Will this complicate your world? She asked. It already has. And you're certain? Yes. She nodded slowly. I don't want to stay because it's easier. Then do not. I don't want to leave because I'm afraid of what people will assume. Then ignore them. She studied his face again, looking for hesitation. There was none. Are you asking me to stay? She asked quietly. No. You asking me to leave? No. She smiled faintly. That's frustrating. It is deliberate. She walked toward the staircase, then paused. I'll look for an apartment tomorrow, she said. I will not interfere. And if I visit, you will be welcomed. No claim, no demand, no promise beyond respect. She nodded once. Her independence was no longer theoretical. It was active, and she was stepping into it fully. The morning she found the apartment, she did not tell him immediately. She returned to the estate just before sunset, keys in hand. I signed the lease, she said. Mikhail looked up from the dining table. Location? He asked. Near the river. Small. Quiet. Security? Standard. He nodded once. Good. She stepped closer. I move tomorrow. Yes. No hesitation. No resistance. She watched him carefully. You're not asking me to reconsider? No. You're not offering to upgrade it? No. She smiled softly. You're consistent. That was always the agreement. She exhaled slowly. I don't regret any of this, she said. Nor do I. She held his gaze. You know what this was never about, she asked. Tell me. Wasn't about you saving me? No. Wasn't about rebellion? No. It was about choosing. Yes? A quiet understanding settled between them. She stepped closer. Not out of dependency, not out of uncertainty, but clarity. When I ran into your car, she said, I was desperate. Yes, when I stayed here, she continued, I was deciding. Yes, and now? Now you are living with consequences. She nodded. But it's my consequence. Yes? She looked around the room once more. You didn't rescue me, she said. No, you gave me space. Yes, I chose. He met her eyes steadily. Protection was temporary, she said quietly. Yes, the choice was permanent. He inclined his head once. Yes. She reached for her bag. I'll see you, she said. You will. She walked toward the door without hesitation. No running, no fear, no pursuit, just movement. And this time, it was entirely hers. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. At Mr. Caleb Stories, we tell stories about power, love, dignity, and hard choices. Subscribe right now and like this video so you never miss the next chapter. Because sometimes protection is temporary, but choice changes everything.